This program is brought to you by the following proud sponsors: Paulson Manufacturing, saving the eyes and lives of workers and first responders by manufacturing the highest quality and most reliable safety protective gear in the world. And by the All-Tech Media Group, the region's leading multimedia video production and marketing company, creating powerful and innovative marketing strategies that deliver exponential returns.
Anyone who went to high school before the 1990s will likely remember going to shop class, or maybe you had classmates who went. For some of us, it was the best part of the school day, being able to set the books aside and create something like a candle holder or mailbox out of tin steel using these, your hands. I'm Jeff Allen for Manufacturer's Corner. Back in the 90s, the industrial arts, or what we used to call shop classes, began to quickly disappear from high schools all across the country, and especially on the West Coast, no thanks to shrinking state education budgets and an economy that was becoming more service-oriented and less industry-based. But now the industrial arts are gradually making a comeback across the country, thanks in part to independently owned maker spaces where anyone can go and actually create things out of raw materials. One such place is Vocademy, a very unique maker space in Riverside, California. I caught up with Sherman, the owner and founder of Vocademy, for a tour and a chat. Let's watch. Sherman, thanks so much for allowing us into Vocademy to talk to you today.
Pleasure having you here.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Let's start with that, Gene. You've got a fair amount of industrial arts experience and industry experience, real-world industry experience.
Correct. I was lucky enough when I went to high school, like yourself, that had shop class. And I tell you what, if it wasn't for shop class, I wouldn't have graduated. I don't have any mathematical skills, but I had a knack for making things. I was also lucky that my parents encouraged hands-on skills when I was younger, built models. My father owned a machine shop, so starting at a probably less than legal age, I started working for him, learning the skills, learning the trade. So by the time I was 21, I had a journeyman toolmaker's apprenticeship finished. And then I went out to industry. And over 30 years, I visited hundreds of companies and seeing how things are made. I was an applications engineer, helping companies when they bought a new piece of equipment, how to prove their process, how to make things better. So from touching the space shuttle to seeing how satellites are made to visiting all those companies, I learned from so many people how important making is to this country and how things are made.
Let's talk a little bit about Vocademy in particular. You set this up. It's very, very well rounded. We kind of took a little tour a little bit ago, but tell folks who may be kind of looking over our shoulder or may have turned their back to the screens exactly what Vocademy is and why you created it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, Vocademy, the name implies vocational academy, and that's how it came to be. But we are not a vocational school. We're a makerspace, and a makerspace is something relatively new to the world, and us being an education-focused makerspace is the first one of its kind in the world. So basically, you take all the best aspects of school, you find a class you love that teaches you something you love, and with a membership, you can come back and use those skills here to get even better and better. We cut out theory, we cut out all the mathematics. We teach the practical skills someone would need to get something done using tools and using their hands. So the idea is we're like a gym. There's membership, there's classes, there's instructors, and equipment. But then we're more like an Olympic training center. We don't just teach you how to use that piece of equipment. We'll teach you as much as you want to learn, whether it be for work or for personal gain, because you love it, because you want to add it to your resume, or because your boss paid you to be here because he wants you to make a better employee, a more versatile human being. And our goal here is simply to make people more valuable to the world.
Let's talk about now, as we kind of go through one by one, some of the areas that you have inside the building, some of the specialized areas where you provide that training. And I'm going to go ahead and let you start by picking out the area maybe first. Maybe it's one of the areas we first walked into. Tell us about, we'll just kind of go in any order that you want.
Sure. Well, let's start with traditional shop classes. What we used to get in high school. We have metal shop, machine shop. We have a full CNC machine shop with 4 machines. We have a wood shop, a fully equipped wood shop, and our CNC woodworking equipment is coming. We have welding and fabrication. So those are our traditional shop skills. We also have sewing and textiles. We have a room full of sewing machines. Then we add the state-of-the-art stuff that a lot of schools just don't have yet. We have laser cutting, we have computer-aided design, and then we also have 3D printing. So we've mixed traditional stuff with state-of-the-art stuff, and then our students can choose what they want to learn. In the machine shop, we give you practical skills. Our 40-hour machine shop program gives you what we call the 20% you use 80% of the time. And our final test in that machine shop is you actually get to create something. In all of our classes, if you want to get our little certificate of completion, we actually have you build something. It's not just a test.
Now, if you were to go out into the real world and look for maybe some real career opportunities that would use the training in your machine shop, what kind of companies, what kinds of products would use that kind of training that you would get here at Vocademy, for instance?
Manufacturing companies. If your company manufactures a product, or even if you're just an engineering company, we have engineers being graduated today from our universities that have never had built anything in their lives. They have no practical skills. So if you're hiring an engineer, you want to see the fact that they've actually created something. If I'm hiring an aerospace engineer, I want to know at least that he's built a paper airplane or a plastic model of one, or built one from scratch. It's very impressive. If you're running a company that manufactures a product, and the people you hire nowadays don't know which end of a screwdriver to use, sometimes it's as fundamental a skill as that, teaching people how to properly use hand tools and power tools and equipment. So whether you're making soap or satellites, this is knowledge that applies to everything. And let me tell you, even if you don't use it for work, as a human being, if your plumbing busts or something breaks in your house, do you pay someone like me $300, $400, $1,000 to fix it in the middle of the night, or do you have the skills to do it yourself? So this value we add to a human being, a lot of times is used for work, and a lot of times is used to better yourself, to be more valuable.
These are the kinds of careers now that are providing living, thriving wages, are they not?
Amazingly so, absolutely. There is a skills gap in this country. There are manufacturers dying for people who have, let's call them blue tech. So blue-collar skills, there used to be the people that bolted bumpers onto cars. But let's add technology, where you're involving a robot in the process or computer-controlled machinery. You still need to know how to cut a piece of metal, but then you might be programming a robot to do it. So yes, you need to do those traditional and state-of-the-art skills combined. There's no longer, you cannot just use your hands, you must use your brain. You know, and that's where the key comes together, is we adapt our training, our curriculum to what industry needs, to what the real world needs tomorrow.
And you have manufacturers coming to you, asking you about what it is that you're doing here, and asking you about maybe some of the students that actually come in here and
Correct.
use some of these facilities for the purposes of possibly recruiting down the line.
Absolutely. That happens more frequently. There are companies calling us, knowing that we're not a credentialed program, knowing that we're not giving them some sort of state-sanctioned certificate. They're saying, look, have you given this person the skills? Yes. Okay, send them over. We'll test them out. And in the world of hands-on skills, you'll know very quickly whether someone's telling you the truth or not. So the credibility is built not by our piece of paper that we give people, by those people saying that this is what I know, and to show their employers. We have a guitar company calling us from Santee saying, do you have any people? We'll give them the specific training. We want that general fundamental knowledge in them. Absolutely, it's happening all the time.
Now, you have the welding shop in the back. We had a chance to look at that, and I've almost forgotten about welding shops, but they're out there, and there is a need for that today, and there's a growing need for that. What are the kinds of careers that maybe someone coming out of high school, or maybe someone in JC, they're looking at, you know, going into to maybe a career that would involve welding? Maybe it's a personal interest or something they've just gotten interested in. What kind of careers, where would they work?
You could work for a race car manufacturer. You can work for a company making prototype automotive components. You can work for a company that does appliances. Welding keeps the world together. You would be amazed that in this room alone, there are thousands of welded parts. These tables, these machines, the lights, the fixtures, the frame of this building are all welded together. And keep in mind, we're not going to make you a certificated welder. We'll give you those basic skills. Someone comes here, not sure. They start welding for fun, then they find out, I want to make this a career. We can send them to a state school, but they're going in there well ahead of their class.
What kinds of welding do you train on here?
We do MIG welding, and we have TIG welding coming, and we're going to have plasma cutting and oxyacetylene brazing soldering coming very soon. But MIG welding's up, and it's popular, and it's a fantastic, fun class.
Saw your CAD room back there, too. Tell us a little bit about that.
Correct. So we teach CAD, computer-aided design. The beautiful thing about learning CAD here is you can then turn around and make what it is you design in CAD. CAD, we use Fusion 360 by a company called Autodesk. It's the world's biggest CAD company. They come on board with 12 full seats. You can come here, and with a matter of 9 hours, 3 classes, we give you the fundamentals. As a member, you can come back and use our software here, or download it and use it yourself and continue learning. And then we keep adding more and more advanced classes.
And obviously, CAD opens up a variety of career opportunities for young people today, doesn't it?
Thousands of opportunities. Every product, everything we interact, even our clothing is now computer designed. That's critical. And the beautiful thing with the 3D printer, you can start printing prototypes. So you can design dresses, you can design vehicles, you can design toothbrushes, you can design anything, but it has to start with CAD. And what people have to realize is a lot of schools are teaching CAD, but they're not teaching how to design. That's a beautiful drawing, but it's not a manufacturable product. When you go your future employer and show them this beautiful thing you've drawn, they're going to look at it and go, we can't make that. It would take us $1 million to make it, and we can only sell it for 10. What we teach here is the practical aspects of computer design, because we involve CAM, computer-aided machining, where design intent becomes a critical part of that.
Give us an idea of some of the companies where you might work that would require CAD knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. Ford, Chevy, GE, Lockheed, Boeing, the millions of small companies that are manufacturing new products nowadays. Something called the Square, the little credit card swiper device, was developed in a makerspace similar to this, where a couple of people came together, made a prototype, it did the electronics. Now they're $1 billion company. And it started a few years ago in a space like this, where people mixed their knowledge. So it's not just what you're learning here, it's what the person next to you is learning, and you're collaborating, you're sharing that knowledge.
And as a step kind of after that, you have the laser printing and you have the 3D printing, which kind of goes right in line with CAD, because that's kind of how you start to produce what it is that you've designed. Tell us a little bit about those rooms.
Absolutely. So we have 3D printing and laser cutting. And those are, we call our gateway drugs to this place of making. 3D printing, whatever you draw, you can actually print. So when people go out and buy a 3D printer today, or a company gets one, first of all, they don't know what to do with it. CAD is a very important part of that. A 3D printer is like buying a color printer and printing pictures of other people's stuff. I want to print my designs, and that's what we teach here. The laser cutter is an amazing prototyping tool, from making aircraft structures to making holiday decorations to making wooden sculptures. Anything can be done with these machines. And here, with a few brief lessons, you have access to those machines, or you add that to your resume. You say, I know how to use a laser cutter. I know how to use a 3D printer. And I tell you what, that makes you a standout. So what we say is, here we do not make engineers. We make engineers better. We do not take your shop person, we make your shop person better. So if they come here on the weekend, the person that works for you comes here to expand their skills, on Monday morning you get a much better, more powerful employee who's going to make your company succeed.
What are some of the things that you've seen made with 3D printers? I mean, we had a chance to see some really neat stuff in the back there. There were some vases and some other types of solid, large types of items back there. But what kinds of real-world types of items or products can be made, or have you seen made in prototype form using a 3D printer?
Sure. I've seen stuff like, for a gentleman had a vintage race car from the 20s, and he needed a new knob for the dashboard. They don't exist anymore. So they drew it up in CAD and 3D printed it instead of machining one, saving him a tremendous amount of time. We have some members here that built their own 3D printer using our printers. So they printed their initial parts and built their 3D printer, and their machine is 3-4 times bigger than the ones they used to create ours. So literally, the wood, the frame, the plexiglass, the electronics was all done here in-house. There is no limitation. I've seen a prototype bottle opener being made here. I've seen kids print their first toys, and when a kid gets to actually make a toy, they hold on to that for life. And I've seen combinations. Costume and prop making is very popular here. And people don't realize that you're a real maker when you make costumes and props. Someone making a prop out of fiberglass is learning plastics and composites. Using our vacuformer to make an Iron Man mask, that person is learning how to work with plastics of different materials. They're learning the kind of things they would learn in a traditional school, but they're doing it and they're having fun.
And not to forget, too, your textile room in there, there is still a need for people to make things that we wear. And while a lot of that industry has gone overseas, we're starting to see some of that come back, and you're kind of providing training here at this location for that, too.
In a big way. What people are headed towards is something called wearables. Wearables is clothing with electronics built in. Now, there are other schools that have sewing, and there are other schools that have electronics. We're the only place that has them next to each other in the same room. We had a young lady the other day laser cutting patterns for a sewing dress she's making for someone, and a bunch of guys standing around going, you know, if we put electroluminescent wire in there, we can make that wedding dress light up. No, that's a fun application. She's on her dance floor, her dress is reacting to the music with beautiful lighting. But what if that same material now has electronics to measure your blood pressure, your pulse, your diabetic levels? So wearables is is a future technology that this country has to be the leader in developing. And in a place like this, people working with textiles and electronics can mix just by the very nature of this place.
Now, we happen to be standing in a wood shop right now, and this kind of takes me back because everybody back from our era remembers working wood shop. Still application for working with wood in this day and age?
Yes, absolutely. So we're not going to compete with IKEA in mass manufacturing. But what people are finding out in a local macroeconomic level is I want to buy a piece of furniture from the person down the street who's made it. It's unique and it's going to be a family heirloom. I'm not going to throw it away. So this is the kind of place where people can learn a skill and then develop their small niche furniture shop. There are plenty of furniture manufacturers in the Inland Empire, hundreds of them. Again, having a hard time finding people. Well, they're here. They're learning. Or send your people here. We'll give them those fundamental skills. Wood shop is never going away. Metal shop is never going away. Sewing is never. It's been around for thousands of years, and it will continue to be so. And we need to give people those skills. And maybe someday schools will realize that they need to teach these skills. We're perfectly fine with that because that student in a class for 1 hour a day wants more. It's their passion. They can come here and exercise that passion evenings and weekends with their family and their friends, and then hopefully meet their employer. We've actually had people start relationships because of meeting here because they found a common interest, and that's being creative.
Are you starting to see a greater interest on the part of locally based manufacturers who are kind of taking an interest in what it is that you are doing? Because it seems as if we're hearing time and time again that there are those skills gaps out there that are not being filled. There are not enough young people coming up through schools who have an interest or even know about the manufacturing jobs that are out there and growing in our communities out there in our manufacturers. What is the word that you're hearing, and what kind of feedback are you getting from manufacturers about what it is that you're doing here?
They love what we're doing. They absolutely love what they're doing because the schools are not. They want the kind of people that have those raw, hard skills that they need. Thank you for the theoretical. Thank you for the mathematical. But this human being have the skills to create something I need? My company thrives on having capable people in it. And you cannot be all capable if everything you've learned comes out of a book. So local manufacturers, as they're finding out about us, we're starting a relationship with people about starting apprenticeship programs for them. Instead of bringing an apprenticeship program into your company, send those people here during the week or on the weekends. Some companies choose to have us as a gym membership for their employees. Here's a 3-month membership. Here's a dozen class hours. Go to Vocademy. Take a bunch of classes on your own free time. Go enjoy it. On Monday morning, the employer gets back a more capable employee who's more knowledgeable, more involved in their work because they love what they're doing. And the example I always give is I've been to JPL, Jet Propulsion Labs, where they build the Mars rover. The best, most passionate engineers I've ever met there are the guys that fly remote control airplanes on the weekend, build these things. What you love, if you do what you love for work and for play, it's no longer work.
Now, what about for students who might be tuning in and viewing this? Maybe it's, they may have someone in their family that knows someone who is in a manufacturing-oriented position somewhere, either in this area or somewhere across the country. What would you tell young people who maybe they're not exactly sure what it is that they want to do, or maybe they've been told that, you need to go to college for 4 years in order to do this white-collar job over here. But what would you tell them about alternative opportunities in a career that you make and build things with your hands?
Absolutely. Look at the people who made this country. They were not the people that went to college. The Wright brothers, Harley Davidson, Steve and Steve built their first computer, their first Apple computer. So making things is why this country became what it is. There are many more opportunities for those blue tech skills, for those hands-on skills than there are for white-collar skills. If everyone goes to college, gets the same knowledge, what makes you different? What's your differentiator? I think we need to expose our kids, showing that this is a path. Right now, if you go into a high school counselor's office, it's your career or you're a loser. Your college or you're a loser. No, you're not a loser. It's not how intelligent are you, it's how are you intelligent. My own personal story is when I was in high school, I never made it past pre-algebra. If I was forced to go into college, I'd be a failure. I found out I had a knack for building things, and I was lucky enough to get hired by a shop that gave me the opportunity, and I blossomed from there. And now we're here standing inside my business that I started. I'm an entrepreneur. We're trying to tell kids that even if you go to college, you need these skills. But if you choose a different path, come discover what that path is in a place like this. Finding out that, just look up manufacturing. We are still the world's second largest manufacturer. We're bringing back those jobs from China, realizing we want better products. We want the people here to build them. And we want to be that place that mixes education and industry, helping both of them in that respect.
Gene Sherman, thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming here.
If you'd like more information on Vocademy and everything it has to offer, simply visit vocademy.com, or you can call 951-266-6630. If you're a business owner and you're interested in having our Manufacturer's Corner cameras come by for a video tour of your plant or manufacturing facility, give us a call at 951-697-3098. We're also now accepting advertisers on our website and sponsors of our programs like this one to help support our efforts to build a stronger, sustainable manufacturing economy in California. For more information on those advertising and sponsorship opportunities, visit the contact page on our website at manufacturerscorner.com or call us at 951-697-3098. For Manufacturer's Corner, I'm Jeff Allen, and I'll talk to you again.
This program was brought to you by the following proud sponsors: Paulson Manufacturing, saving the eyes and lives of workers and first responders by manufacturing the highest quality and most reliable safety protective gear in the world. And by the All-Tech Media Group, the region's leading multimedia video production and marketing company, creating powerful and innovative marketing strategies that deliver exponential returns.